SRBMedia.
Is it so you're lost in dreams beside the world? Wanna go where I'm not?
Good evening, Gabby.
Good evening, TC, and welcome all to part 16 of our weekly podcast, The Curran View, with the Idol of Hillsborough, Mr. Terry Curran.
Have you had a good weekend?
Yeah, it's been good. An awful lot's gone on in football in a week and in life as well. Off football, I've been a best man. So yeah, we've had a good time off the pitch as well as on it. How about yourself? What have you been doing away from football this week?
Not much, really. What would I say? Not playing. He cut his head the other week.
Yeah.
So he's not been allowed to play for 3 weeks. So I've not been anywhere football-wise. But obviously, great result for Sheffield Wednesday. And I see your lads have got a good result with the young lads coming through.
Yep.
And Jack Grealish playing really well at Norwich, and a great result for Aston Villa.
Yeah. What have you picked out firstly as your magic moment of the week?
Well, what was the one? Oh, the fifth goal at Villa's.
Yeah.
What a fantastic goal that was. I love to see, class goals, and obviously the curve on it. I mean, choose who would have been in goal the one to stop that one. But again, when you look at football now, and not only just in the Premier League and the Championship, but lower down, the goals what are scored in some of these games are fantastic. They're fantastic.
But I think you're right what you've said in earlier podcasts. Goals in the lower divisions have always been scored, and some great goals that have been scored. But you didn't have YouTube, and you didn't have the social media, and you didn't have all the cameras at all the games like we have today. So lots of those goals wasn't recorded, but they are now.
Exactly. You're exactly right on that. And obviously, we not just us fans miss out on it, but it's great for the players what's play at that level, because they never get the recognition like a Premier League player and a Championship player. And I understand that, because obviously they're playing in higher leagues, but there is still some fantastic goals and there is some fantastic movements of play from some of these teams now in these lower levels.
So this is what I used to love about Match of the Day in the 70s. It used to be pretty much 3 games, didn't it? And it would be what they perceived to be Match of the Day. But they'd also go down into the lower leagues, Division, well, it used to be League Division 1, 2, 3 and 4, of course, in them days. Yeah. So, if you was riding out like you guys were, and we're going to talk about the Demolition Derby, Boxing Day Massacre, as we get more, closer to Christmas. But, that was our Match of the Day, and stuff like that was our Match of the Day. And I think rightly it should be, and it gives us football fans a better diet of what goes on throughout the football leagues and not just the one league.
Well, obviously, it's nice. It is nice for the lower clubs to get the recognition on Match of the Day in those days. But obviously now, I mean, there's cameras at every game now, so we all see the goals. I think it's on Quest Red now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which in one sense, that's disappointing, because why it's not kept on Channel 4 or Channel 5? I think it was Channel 5 when it was on, or even ITV. Yep. So the rest of the country has seen it. What obviously can't afford the Skies and the BTs of this world.
No, 100% agree. I'm going to go with my magic moments. I've got a few this week.
I could have gone with a few. You're right. I could have gone with a few.
Have another couple then, TC.
Now then, you put me straight on spot, because I picked them out, and then I looked at the one I wanted to talk about, because what you do then, you start talking about other ones and not the one what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
But what I'll do next week, I will pick 2 or 3 out and keep to them. But what I was looking at with the Villa one, and there were a couple more goals in that game which were very good.
Yep.
I mean, the Newcastle game goal was a good one. But I will pick a couple out next week, 2 or 3 out next week, and then everybody's game mentioned. But like I said, what I'm looking at, as well as the Championship and the Premier League, I'm looking at the lower levels, and to see what goals are seen there, what's very, very good goals. And I mean, the other week was the one at Grimsby Robson for Grimsby Town against Exeter. But no, there is good goals at all levels now.
I think what we'll do with the magic moments, because it was magic moment, it's magic moments, we'll pick one from the Premier League and then one from any other football
league, yeah.
that we see. So I'm going to go Odin Bailey's winning goal for Birmingham City against Middlesbrough, because you know what it's like, you dominate the game. I mean, I thought Middlesbrough, it was probably the worst Middlesbrough team I'd ever seen, and I don't think they played with any fullbacks all night. I thought they were absolutely awful. Having said that, Birmingham done well, and I think Birmingham are assembling a group of young players that have got ability on the ball now and can hurt teams. But you know, how many games have you played in TC over the years where you've dominated possession, you've dominated everything, they go and score a goal just before the end and get something from the game, but Birmingham did grab that victory out of the jaws of a draw, and it was great to see Odin Bailey getting on the score sheet for his first Birmingham City goal.
You're right. I mean, these games I played, and you think, how would we lost that, or how did we draw that, and how did we not win that, you know? But fans at saying they will look at it and think, how we lost that game. But the Birmingham, they are looking like a team again. Is Birmingham City? I mean, we can knock. I try not to knock teams because it's easier. Because then what we're talking about is the team what hasn't done well or what's got beaten instead of the team what did well. You know, and Birmingham conceded a goal, 88th minute, 86th minute, something like that. Yep. And then they got the winner, you know, in the 90th minute. I mean, it's great to see young lads given game time. Yep. I mean, you want some experience with them. I'm not saying you need to play, but there's been far too many managers over the years what's been frightened to put players into the team. And now you can see the blossom in some of these young players. If you give them a chance, they have got the enthusiasm, they have got the energy. They haven't got a fear factor. The one thing they'll lack is to understand is there's got to be times when they're under pressure that they've got to be able to handle that type of pressure, and not only when it's going well for them, but when it's not going well for them. And that's when people want to criticise them. Instead of looking at the situation, praising them when they have done well, and believing them to give them that type of chance to take the opportunities. And I told you when I saw them against Portsmouth, Birmingham, I said they've got one or two good lads in there, Gabby. And even you turned around and said to me, you're not right, you're not wrong, Terry, but far too many kids have been thrown in. Yeah. And I get that, I do get it. But sometimes, why not throw them in? Because over the years, the experienced players have let the team down, they let the manager down, and let the club down. You know, I'm not always going to blame the experienced players because I was an experienced player myself. Yeah. What I'm trying to say is it takes the right balance to get the right team. And the only person whatever can get that right is the manager. Yeah.
Yeah. 100% agree, and you're right. But I do think you do need some experienced players within that team. You need, I think was it Cantona who coined the phrase, you need water carriers as well. And I think you do. You need flair players as well.
You need all sorts of type of players in the team. Yeah. I mean, when they use that phrase, a water carrier, that player might not like that, but the flair players will look at this scenario and they know that those type of players are very important to the team, the ones what can get the ball and give it to the ones what can do some more damage. Yeah. Whether you're at the back playing into midfield, from a midfield playing through to the forward line or the forwards, you know, you've got to have a right balance of everything. When you start playing players out of position, I don't give a damn who you are. Ashley Young has been a fantastic football player for Aston Villa and a brilliant player at Manchester United. But I don't give a damn who you are, whether you're Guardiola or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Playing Ashley Young as an experienced player at left back, that will never, ever work. He's not a left footer for the start. Yeah. Ever. You know, so for me, you need experience, but once you start playing any player out of position on a regular basis, and Young's played now 3 or 4 games at left back since Shaw's been injured, and that's not worked. And that's not helped the team. So yes, you need experience, but when you're playing players, you've got to try and put them in the best positions, what's going to suit them, and the more happiest at, which can help the team.
100% agree. Again, Matty Longstaff's goal that you referenced earlier for Newcastle, again, to score a goal on your debut, and listening to them two boys, the brothers, that played centre midfield together, it must have been a dream when they were kids to both play for Newcastle United and to beat Manchester United as well. It was like happy days. And my third one is Jack Grealish's goal. Now, I watched the whole game. Something I've never done before. Watched Villa an awful lot and watched 90 minutes, but I like to watch Grealish. If I'm talking about a player, I like to have a bit of knowledge about that player, and Grealish caught my eye several seasons ago, and I think the kid has blossomed into, in my opinion, an international player. And I do think now with Delph pulling out of the England squad, I do believe that Gareth has missed a trick, because I would have called up Grealish. I noticed when the goalkeeper pulled out, Endo from Sheffield United had been put straight into the team. I think he could have done that with Grealish, and I think that when you go into tournaments and deeper into tournaments, you need players that can actually play football, pass the ball, and make things happen. And in Grealish and in Maddison, those are two English players that have got the ability to do that.
Brilliant how you put that across. But since we've had foreign coaches come into our country, we are producing quality players now. And what you're saying about Grealish is 100% right. I mean, the advice I could give to Jack Grealish is this: he needs to pull his socks up and cover them shin pads up. And I'll tell you the reason for why. Because if you want to play for England, everything has to be done right. If it's not done right, they're not going to pick you. And you're going to turn around and say, well, does he have to do that? Well, they will hold him back. I mean, me going and playing in the third division didn't help me one little bit. But getting booked, doing the wrong things, arguing with referees, going into fans when fans were giving me abuse and me giving them abuse back, that didn't help me playing for England. And I would hate to see Jack Grealish not get that opportunity to play for England, because what you and I, and there's still not enough talk about Jack Grealish, his ability. When that kid has done really, really well in a team, which is a big club, is Aston Villa, right? And it's just come back into the Premier League, so it's going to have its difficult times. And they're going to have good moments and bad moments. And every time they have a bad moment, there's going to be these pundits, and you see them every week on television. The first thing, they're not going to have a go at Aston Villa. They're going to have a go at Jack Grealish, and this is the reason why he's not in. So what he's got to do is do the right things for the time being, and once he establishes himself in the national team, then he'll be able to do what he does at Aston Villa. Do you know what I mean by that? Yeah. Because people will be on his back all the time. There is not... Out of all these players, and there is some good midfield players, there is some fantastic midfield players. You look at Sancho, and then you got Hudson-Odoi. Yeah. Both wingers, both fantastic footballers. One of them's not going to be playing unless he plays one out on left and one on right. So little things like that are going to hold Jack Grealish back, because there's that many good players in there. But what Jack's got compared to the rest of them, and I'm not because I like some of the other ones, Mount, Maddison, Barkley, I think's good. There'll be more different people like Maddison and Mount more than Barkley. But Barkley's still a good player, and he can still do a good job. So they don't talk enough about Jack doing the right things all the time, and that disappoints me, because he is better than anyone else for composure on the ball. He never panics. Yeah. Ever. Anybody who watches him, when people might turn around and say, "Oh, you're always agreeing on this and that about Jack Grealish." No, I'm not an Aston Villa fan. I'm like you. I know. I'm like you. But I recognise good players. Exactly. And how do we know? And they should give him a chance. Have a look at him. And I'm not saying give him 2 or 3 games and then play him on left wing and that. Play him in his best position and let's see if he can do it. Yeah. At least we've got another good option if he can do that, instead of putting him out on left wing or on right wing and disregarding him. No, I told you so. He's not good enough. They should be able to play anywhere. There is only certain players in football can play anywhere. Right? You play Messi at left back or holding midfield. See how well he does then.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what they'll do with people like Jack Grealish. We don't want him in the squad, in the England squad, so we'll play him out wide. You know, it not baffles me. It hurts me to see that happen to people like Jack Grealish, and we have to stop. You know, these pundits have to stop saying every time that Villa don't do this. He is more composed than any other midfield player we have got in this country. Watch it, analyse it. Anybody, watch, listen to this. Watch it, analyse it, and don't be biased. Just be honest with yourself. What he can do for a football team, whether it's your club or somebody else's club or our national team.
And that's how I look at it. You know, I mean, I got brought up supporting Birmingham City. The stick I get from posting up about Grealish, but I just love the way he plays football. I mean, that pass that he gave when I think it was Curran that got tripped in the box for the penalty. That was just precision personified. He knew the exact second to just release that ball and bang. There it was, and all day.
How long have I been going on about passing?
Yeah, exactly.
How long have I been going on about passing? Listen, I'm not interested in Manchester City one little bit. I'm not interested in Guardiola one little bit, but I admire Guardiola, what he does, and the players he gets and how they pass that ball without giving the ball away and tiring the opposition out until they become, where they're getting the ball given back to them on a regular basis. Yes, they got beat by Wolverhampton Wanderers. Brilliant by Wolverhampton Wanderers. I want to see that. I want to see teams take Manchester City on. Yeah. You know, but I have said it for long enough. You can do all your coaching in the world. If you cannot pass a ball, you will not win games. And nobody in the world can tell me, right? We know that people say, well, they're top teams. Why are they top teams? Because they've got best players what can pass the ball. Improve your players. You've got all week. If you're there for 3 years and you get the 3-year contract, you've got 3 years to get them players right to be able to pass it. Yeah. But the training, and I know the training is not much different nowadays from when I was playing. Some other teams will do, but majority of the teams and the lower teams do the same thing. Organise. Do you need organisation? Of course you do. Anybody with any modicum sense would understand, you can't just throw everybody forward and score goals. That's why Manchester City concede goals. Liverpool's 2 centre-backs don't join in like the 2 centre-backs at Manchester City. The 2 lads at Manchester City will finish up in and around the opposition penalty box passing the ball. That's why they get caught on counter-attacks, and that's why people turn around and say, well, they can't defend. They don't understand the game. Anybody could point out what they're doing, but they don't point out what is the problem. The 2 centre-backs at Manchester will join in. The 2 centre-backs at Liverpool don't join in. Nowhere near like the 2 at Manchester City. And getting forward, the only time you see Van Dijk and the other guy, Matic, going forward is corner kicks and free kicks. We've got until we can pass the ball, we're going to struggle at international level. And I'll tell you this, all of you, that includes you, Gabby, unless we get a world-class goalkeeper, and I keep saying the keeper's not a bad keeper, but another mistake at Burnley on Saturday for Everton. And I'm not highlighting it to criticise him because he's a good goalkeeper. It costs £30 million. So, does that make him a great goalkeeper? No, but it makes him, a good goalkeeper. But somebody's seen something in him, and he does make good saves at times, but he makes mistakes. But when a goalkeeper makes a mistake, he's got no one to protect him. That's why they have to get it right, Gabby. They have to be a big guy what's going to make the goals look smaller. They've got to be composed on the ball, and they've got to understand the game nowadays by playing out from the back.
Racial abuse with England, they've said, and it's all around the world, circulated through the press and media, that if they get any racial abuse, one person, the whole team's going to just walk off the pitch. What's your take on that?
You've got to be careful on what you say nowadays with a racist thing, because these people what are really educated will pick up on anything, and they can twist that word in what you've said. Now, Does anybody want to see people being abused on a football field? I don't give a whether the black, Chinese, Muslim, Indian, or whatever. You know, there's no need for it.
No.
But in football, fans, because it becomes tribal when it's a football, trying to put the opposition off.
Yep.
Right? It has to stop. It has to stop. Will finding stop it? No, it won't.
Yep.
How are you going to stop it? Now, I've always said to myself, we in England will be the one what fetches someone off a football field, whether it's a player or whether we take a team off. I've always had that belief. That's what will happen. It'd be the English, because it's always us what do the forefront of everything for some unknown reason. It's like Leeds United or Sheffield. Sheffield Wednesday being at top of league, and we know we're going to get some points deducted if there's any racist abuse. Yeah. So all of a sudden, Leeds United want to win that league. They're 2 points behind us. 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 of their players, fans, go to Sheffield Wednesday, get tickets, and start giving a black player or a foreign player racist comments, and they get points deducted. They're letting themselves open up to something what's not going to be right. This is my opinion. How do you stop it? I don't know. Is it proper punishment? So there is people around these people, what sees people being abused. Why don't they point it out, but get proper punishment? That'll stop it. Finding somebody. Some of these fans won't go to football matches. They'll not be working. So if they get fined, they'll only be paying £1 a week. You know, but there is other people. There's doctors and there's bank managers. Because I know some bank managers, friends who I knew, go ballistic at football matches, not at black lads, at the white lads, and thinking they're calling him useless and effing this and effing that. And I used to think to myself, and he's a bank manager. You know, I mean, I love Sheffield Wednesday, but not at the cost to abuse you, Gabby. Yeah. It's not in my nature. And I win fairly, right? And if you get beat by a better team, hold your hands up. Yeah. Now, I don't know the answer to it. I really don't, because do I think that's the answer? No, I don't, because it's just open it up for more for the media to really get it back, keep it in the papers, and it's that what keeps people talking about things, isn't it? Yeah. The criticisms of the wrong things instead of the right things.
And ironically, it's a reduced capacity, because they have been reprimanded over racial abuse in the past. Have Bulgaria? So we just watch
just
this
on that point. What will happen if a lot of fans turn around and say, "Well, there's no point in us going, because you know we've got some ignorant people at games being racially abusing people, right?" And they get all the fans get brought into it, and you know, criticised for it. So they might turn around, I'm not going to football no more. What happens when fans start to dwindle because of things like this?
Well, we kind of had that in the 70s and the 80s, didn't we, with the hooligans, and it crept in and it affected the gates, because there was a lot of fathers that wouldn't take the sons and the daughters to the games because of the football violence. So, you know, it is one of those things that you know, lots of people do get put off by certain things in the game. But I think at the top end, the Premier League, there's that many people waiting for season tickets and tickets that if you make a stand and don't go, somebody will take your seat. Unfortunately, that seems to be the way that it is. But in this country, I don't think we've got a massive problem. But we know that there are certain countries in Europe that if you have got black players in your team, you are more than likely to have some racial abuse, because that's just, it appears it's inherent in certain football nations' support.
Yeah, there is people waiting to get into some of these football grounds. But look, take a prime example. It's not a black manager what's managing Newcastle United. It's a local lad.
Oh, yeah.
And what they're giving Mike Ashley abuse.
Yeah.
Now, can you imagine if that would have been a black guy what owns Newcastle United? Mm-hmm. You know, fans are stopping going to games at Newcastle now. They said, well, we've had enough of Mike Ashley, so we're not going to go. So don't think that it won't happen Choose how many players people are waiting to get into these football clubs on a waiting list. It will deteriorate, and it's got to stop. And if it doesn't stop, it's going to be a sad thing for everyone. That includes black players and fans in general. We're not talking about the ignorant people. We're talking about fans in general, and not just the black players, but foreign players, wherever they come from throughout the world. To be abused on a football pitch, is wrong. Whether they get good money or whether they don't get good money, it is wrong. They don't do it at theatres. You can't do it at snooker. You don't even see it really at rugby matches. No. It's just football. I don't know why football has all this animosity and trouble for no reason at all. Because it's an entertaining sport, really.
Yeah. It would be nice if all football fans could go down, watch the game, enjoy the game, love the game, shake hands after, go back and watch the next game and appreciate football for what it's worth. But sadly, I don't think that day is going to arrive. Somebody that did appreciate you and was in your fan club was George Best. I bet that must have been some day for you when you met the great fella.
I met him a couple of times through Alan Ball.
Yeah.
But that day he'd just come back into England and signed for Fulham, him and Rodney Marsh.
Yeah.
And people asked me what was the best goal I scored, and that was it was at Fulham. I'd beat 3 or 4 players, and I was just looking through the scrapbooks of what my brother gave me, what my mum and dad had kept.
Yeah.
And it says in there I beat 3 or 4 players, and I clipped the ball right into the top corner. And I remember turning round towards the director's box, and Best were on his feet applauding the goal. Yeah. And I went into the players' lounge afterwards, and he came up to me. He said to me, "You keep doing things like that, you're going to be a top player." I got a bad injury at the wrong time. But when you get players like him, and they weren't just him, there were Duncan McKenzie, Ian Story-Moore, Norman Hunter, they all used to say to me, what a player you are. Yeah. But I got 2 bad injuries at the wrong time, and it didn't help me in football. But, when you get it from your peers, you know that you're a good player. Yeah. When your peers give it you. When you get picked in that PFA team, whether it's Premier League or down at Leicester City in the Championship 1, 2, whatever it is, and you get picked by the players into that team, because players are good judges of other players. Yeah. And when you get that recognition, it's great. I've had them all. Malcolm McDonald, all of them turned around and said to me face to face, "What a player you are." So throughout the years, I've enjoyed it. But when I got it from him, because he was my idol as a kid, he's the best player I've ever seen, and I've seen some great players. And I know Jim McCalliog was a great player at Sheffield Wednesday and great skill. So he's my favourite Sheffield Wednesday player. But like Peter Knowles, he's from up my end here at Fitzwilliam. Fantastic ability, would have been, a superstar footballer. When you get them type of players saying to you, that they think that you're a good player and can be a great player, and you do feel good, and, it makes you feel proud.
Now, something that you were always told as well is, in the last couple of minutes, take it into the corner. And I love reading your posts daily and the clips now of those games. And it was Sheffield Wednesday 5, Rotherham 0 at the time. And you did as Jack told you. You run the ball into the corner. You take up the story.
Well, it's not just Jack. There's a lot of players at Huddersfield, and with Clough in that, you never got that. We never got it at Everton. But when you're at a lesser club or a lesser team, and Sheffield Wednesday's a big club, but we were in the 3rd division, and Jack was always petrified of losing games and throwing games away. And I think he got that from Don Revie up at Leeds, because they were a great team, but the times they won 1-0.
Yep.
And trying to kill the game off. Anyway, we've been working all week on not losing the ball and getting into corners, in the last 5 minutes, and getting into the areas and trying to keep the ball in areas, and just to waste time. And I was quite good at holding the ball up anyway, because I could not only run quick short, or I could do it long and all. I could do it from one penalty box to the other. I got great power in me running to be able to go full length at pitch. And I was a decent cross country runner anyway. I weren't great, but I weren't a bad one neither. I'd always finishing the first three in every club I was at. You know, so we'd been working all week. Jack says, right, we're going to do all week, because what had happened would, I don't know if it was me, but we'll just say it was me. We're not blaming anybody else. We'll say it was me. We got a 3-3 draw the previous week against Chesterfield, and Jack went mad about it. So all week we trained at getting balls in the corner every day. You know, every minute, every hour. We worked on that. It was boring, absolutely boring. Anyway, we're playing Rotherham. So we worked on this for 7 days, and I mean a good 7 days. So he'd always shout on Jack, 5 minutes to go, 4 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, whatever it was, he'd shout on, get the ball in the corner, kill the game, kill the game. Anyway, I'm out on the left-hand side, facing Lepping Lane end. And for all the football fans what don't know that, it's the one where the Liverpool fans had the problem at that end there. So the ball had come out to me, said, Terry, get it into the corner. So I ran deep right into the corner. I got it right to the corner flag, and I got 3 men round me, just like I did against the Sheffield United game when I scored that goal. And I got 3 men trying to get the ball back. And I thought to myself, I'll tell you what I'll do here. I'll run back full length at pitch. And Jack said, I thought he was taking piss. By the way, I was taking the piss, you know, because I ate all that up. So I ran back right down our goal, and these 3 are chasing me. But 1 or 2 of our players are looking at me, gone back, thinking I've gone berserk. So when I got back, I played the ball back to Bob Boulder, our goalkeeper. And then I started jogging back up, because I'm on the left-hand side, and I could see Jack's face. And I mean, if he could have come onto that football field, it'd have come on, because in my day they would have given you a clip round here. All managers did. Mm-hmm. You know, the local policeman, if you went pinching a bottle of milk or scrumping into somebody's garden, pinching apples off a tree, if the Bobby caught you at my age when you were 10 or 12, you got a clip round. He looked like Bobby. And Jack, you could see Jack's face. He was so angry because of what I'd done. But like he said, he thought I was taking piss out of him. But by the way, I was, you know, because it used to bore me, anything like that. And he went ballistic after the game in the dressing room. And he's going on and on and on and on. And, you know, it's a disgrace that you've done that. You know, he's trying to belittle me. And you know, you turn around and say, well, hang on a bit. You try and belittle us all the time sometimes, Jack. Not just you. A lot of managers do. So when he turned around and he said something, after his 10 minutes and all the blood pressure boiled down, I said, I've only done what you asked me to do. You know, he said, I didn't ask you to go and put that ball and run right down the end of the pitch. You know, anyway, he walked off, and in the dressing room, just off the dressing room, there's a boot room where players' boots are. He went in there for a drink with Morris and 1 or 2 of the other coaches. And then he came out about 10, 15 minutes later, as calm as anything. I was going for a pint, Terry. You know, I mean, I didn't drink beer. I go and have a glass of Coke, but 3 or 4 lads would go with Jack and Tomsey and Morris and have a drink in Travellers up at on not Lepping Lanes, and A61 it is, Barnsley Road. That's it, Barnsley Road. So we go in there for a pint. But little things like that were funny, but it made all the other players laugh, and so it took the pressure off other players. Because if anything, and I'm not being funny, or you know, being big-headed to myself, I did used to take a lot of pressure off the other players. I did, because the manager would have more go at me, or if he had to go at other players, I'd get on to managers, get off his back. It's enough if the fans are having a go at him. But it was funny about it. It was funny, but it weren't funny afterwards, because I knew I was going to get it. I mean, there was another time when we were playing Derby County, and I went round the goalkeeper, stopped the ball on the line, got on my hands and knees, and headed the ball into net. Got on my hands and knees and headed the ball into net, you know. And 1 or 2 players are upset, you know, Derby players. But Jack was running up and down that, I'll kick you off, and head off, you know, if you do that again, you know. But I used to love to do anything like that, and I didn't do it just to belittle people on a football field. I did it to excite people, you know. You 2 or 3 up. I mean, it was 0-0 then, but it got disallowed. And to this day, I still don't know why they disallowed it. They give it offside. I think they disallowed it for cheek and began on my hands and knees and heading it in, really. But I used to love to do things like that. You know, what's wrong with it? I mean, in today's modern day football, you know, the showboat and everything, and no said. I used to do things in training, and some managers turned around and said to me, "You're not in a circus." And so they discourage you from, you know, trying things in training, because that's where you learn things in training, Gabby. But every manager's different.
You see, the thing is, you was the ultimate entertainer. The way that you played was the same as Marsh and Bowles and Best and Worthington. The crowd are there to watch a game of football and to watch footballers play and express themselves. And you guys did that. And you entertained us, and we remember those moments.
What's wrong? When you're 2 or 3 up and doing things like that? And I understand them turning around and saying, well, you're taking liberties and trying to belittle the opposition. You're not trying to belittle, you're trying to entertain the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, showing the crowd what, you know, look at this, I can do this.
Yeah.
And here's a prime example. But many left me out when we were playing Leeds United. I think I've been left out twice. Once was at Arsenal and once was at... and that was only because of being with Alan Ball all the time. And anyway, he knew we were playing up at Leeds, and I'd always done well against Leeds. Every time I played against Leeds United, you know, we've got results, and I've either scored goals or made goals. In the semi-final, we got 2. We were 2-0 down, and we ought to have been hammered that night because Tony Curry were on fire. But I made the 2 goals to get us back into the game, and then I scored the winner down at the Dell. But I remember playing up at Leeds, and the beat us 5-1, 5-0, whatever it was. Anyway, he threw me on in the last 10, 15 minutes, you know, expecting to turn the game around at 5-0, 5-2, whatever it was. And I'm down at the Cop End at Ellen Road. And I mean right down at the Cop End. I'm now in where the Birmingham main fans would be at Birmingham and in the Cop at Liverpool. I'm right down in the Cop End, right in the corner where the corner flag is. Anyway, there's Frank Gray. I think Eddie played that day, Eddie Gray, and a couple of more of the main players there. And the ball come to me and I trapped it within 1 instant. It stuck to my foot, and I bent down and put my knee on the ball, and I went to all 3 of them. Come and get it. Anyway, I goes in afterwards, and he went absolutely. Who do you think you fucking are? We're 5-0 down, and you're trying to showboat and all that. And Bally said to him, "Laurie, get off his back. It's not his fault. We've got beat. We haven't played well, but managers stop you doing things like that, Gabby. They did. They tried, you know. And why? I don't know why. You know." I get it with the thing in where you're trying to belittle the opposition and it might antagonise the fans. But surely fans want to see some type of bit of flash. And when I say flash, not flash in the sense flash from the person, but a bit of magic in the game. Something what people can go down in a pub afterwards and talk about. Did you see that? See the arrogance of him, Stan Bowles or whoever it were. You know, so I didn't like managers for that. But at the same time, I don't understand them. But we've always had it in this country. But abroad, they encourage it, and they do produce flair players year in and year out. A lot of these European clubs and South American clubs, compared to what we have. But up until recently, I think we've got 1 or 2 young lads coming through now. More than 1 or 2 lads coming through. I think we've got some great players coming through now.
I'll give you one example, and I've watched Match of the Day from a nipper when I used to have to go to bed because my younger sister, we all had to go to bed at the same time, and then my dad, I'd hear, and the old man had come up the stairs, and because she wouldn't go to bloody sleep, my sister, she knew I was going down and watch Match of the Day. So I've seen Match of the Day more times than I can remember. But the one instance that I do remember on there is when Leeds United beat Southampton 7-0.
Yeah. I remember that one.
Bremner and Giles and that, and they were knocking the ball around. Yeah, okay, they were showboating and they were 7-0. But I still remember that to this day as a 55-year-old bloke.
Listen, I know this was only a testimonial, and Peter Knowles had retired. Yeah. You know, he'd become a Jehovah's Witness, and he retired, and there was a testimonial, and I was at the game, and he pulled the ball down. The ball come out of the sky. He pulled it down, right? And 1 or 2 fans were giving him a bit of stick because obviously being a Jehovah's Witness, and I think it was done. I think we were playing at Man United. But anyway, I mean, I'm talking about I'd be 12 or 13, and Chalky White, a lad from our village, who was a big friend of Cyril, his brother, you know, but he was playing in this game. And pulled it down. He nutmegged somebody. He's enticing the guy, you know, with his hands. Come on, come and get the ball. Come and get the ball. And as the guys come through, he's put it through his legs, turned back round, and the guy's got up. You can see anger in his face. And as he's turned back round to face Peter or chase Peter, Peter's turned back round again and put it back through his legs again. You know, things like that, Gabby. I will never forget him, you know, ever in my lifetime. To see things like that, the arrogance of it, the cheek of it, and the brilliance of it. And I thought it's stuck in my head. Even now, I'm 64, and I still think about that. What, you know, to be able to have the cheek and nerve and the guts to be able to do it, fantastic. And the fans want to see little things like that.
Yep. Didn't Tony Curry, didn't he stand on the ball once, and didn't Bally do it in the game before?
No, what had happened, Tony Curry stood on the ball and folded his hands.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to take the piss out of Arsenal. And what Bally did, ball had come to Bally. Bally stopped it and sat on the ball and just sat on the ball with his hands folded, you know, because they were trying to take the piss out of them, and Bally did it back to them. Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, they talk about that now and they'll turn around and say, brilliant. But some managers didn't like it. For something, we like sergeant majors in this country, and I'm glad it's opened up a little bit. Yes, you want discipline. Yes, you want organisation, but you've got to lighten up when your team are winning. All right, you can say, well, we weren't winning at Leeds, but we were already getting beat 5-0, and they were just taking the piss and keeping the ball. And I thought, you're not going to take the piss out of me, lads, because you're going to get some back, you know. But I suppose it don't look right when you're 5-0 down.
But again, magic moments that us fans love and still remember. I love the Brian Clough story that you posted up as well on your Facebook page. You were standing next to Brian at the time, wasn't you?
Clive Tilsley.
Yeah, that one.
I mean, Clive says he was sat down. He might have gone back, said to him on the train when he was sat down and he got the tie on, and said to him, "You look smart." But we was in the train station. We were waiting, obviously, for the train to come in. And I mean, there were me, Martin, Robbo. We're all stood together. When Clough said to him, "Young man, anybody that comes with us Nottingham Forest must be dressed smart. Go and get a tie, lad." And we looked at each other playing, and then we started laughing. You know, because we know what he was like, and you don't know if he's taking the mickey or if he's being serious.
Yep.
But obviously we're being serious. And he said it 2 or 3 times to him, and eventually, I'm not sure if Clive turned around and said, "Well, I've got no money on me," you know. Because obviously we'd been a report, everything would have been expensive, wouldn't it? Just sign for, you know. So what he did, Clough gave him a quid, whatever it was in them days, a couple of quid, whatever it was, and he ran out and went to a shop, got a tie, come back and thing. But he was only a young lad, Clive. If he were 20, 21, I don't know. Down about that age. But I'll never forget that, because I mean, Clive went on to be successful as a commentator and a lovely, lovely lad, you know. But it was funny at the time when he said it, because you wouldn't expect a manager to say to a reporter, you know, "Young man, go and get yourself a tie, or you're not in my party. I only want people what dress well, what's in our party with Nottingham Forest." You know, you had to have a dress code with Clough. He always wore that green sweatshirt, didn't he?
Yeah.
But when he wore a suit, he was smart. I must admit, when he wore a suit, he was smart. But I think he was funny without people realising how funny he were. You know, and I think he knew when he were doing those things, because he's never been horrible to people. Because I've seen him. I've been in an hotel when Nigel was manager of Burton. I got my teeth knocked out when I was playing Fulham. And he took me to his dentist on the Sunday morning. He got the dentist to come in, right, and check my mouth, you know, because I got my front 2 teeth knocked out at the time, and 2 or 3 at this side of them were dead because I got an elbow by less strong. So we were in the pub having a bit of lunch about 1 o'clock, 12:30, 1 o'clock, and Nigel, Simon, and Elizabeth were playing outside. the pub, and then they came in and said, "Dad, there's a tramp outside," and he bought a lunch and he took it out. He took it out to him, and he gave the tramp a meal. So I think sometimes he did it just to get a reaction from people.
Yeah.
You know, because when I was there for 3 years, he was a kind man. It's like any manager sometimes. I never saw him go mad. You know, it'd fine you. You know, if you did something wrong, he'd just come in and I mean, I got a few fines there, you know, for retaliation. You know, he hated you saying anything back to referees. In all total, it was about £200. Well, in them days, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, but at the end of the season, we were not. This was the first season I was there, not the second season when we got promoted. It was the first season when I went there, and it was halfway through the season, but they played so many games. But at the end of that season, they were going to Australia, right? Mm. And he said, I didn't like flying over to Australia. So he said to me, "If you're not bothered about going, Terry, to Australia end of the season, I'll give you the £200." I think he took somebody else one of his friends on the trip to Australia, but he gave me the £200 back. Oh. You know, so little things like that. You know, you don't know if you're being serious or not sometimes, Gabby.
That must have been one of the first pre-season tours or end of season, however you want to wrap it up, trips to Australia, because clubs never went that far in them days, did they?
No, they didn't.
I remember Arsenal did, because Uddy and McDonald got sent back from Australia and Singapore, and they had the row with Terry O'Neill, but that was a clash of personalities. That was nothing other than that.
Well, I'm not frightened of flying.
Yeah.
But you know, traveling 8 hours, 9 hours, but get to Australia, what I think 24 hours, 26 hours, whatever it was in those days. And he said to me, "You're not bothered about going on this trip, are you?" And I said, "No, boss, I'm not, if I'm honest." Yeah. So he said to me, "The fines I've taken off you. If you're not bothered about going, I'll give you them back." And he took a friend. He took a friend out there, you know, because obviously lots of people a lifetime to go on a fortnight in or 10 days, 12 days. I think it was 2 weeks they went for end of the season tour. Not tour, it went end of the season. Like so, they went for a break. Yeah, you know, they did play a couple of games out there because when you play these games, they do get paid to these teams. Yeah. So, but he gave me the money back. Yes. The problem with Clough, you didn't know whether he was being serious or not, and that was the myth about him.
And there's so many great Brian Clough stories, and we're gonna be telling one every week on the podcast. And the same as like with Jack, 'cause I love listening to the stories of Jack Charlton as well. Your contract at Forest, you posted that up today.
Yes.
And signed it Edward Curran.
Right.
Didn't you?
Listen, when I signed for Doncaster Rovers, I've got a brother called Terry.
Yeah.
Right now, you didn't know that, do you?
Yeah, I read your book.
Right, I've got a brother called Terry.
Yeah.
And when I signed for Doncaster Rovers, we had a guy there called John Quigley who played for Nottingham Forest in the 1959 FA Cup final.
Okay.
And Quiggs kept calling me Terry, and I said, "Quiggs, my name's Ted." You know. Don't ask me why. But he kept calling me Terry. Yeah. And then I made my debut at Gillingham. Yeah. And we got beat 5-0, 5-1. And I did all right. And the next day, when I said next day, Monday morning, the headlines in the Doncaster Evening Post, Star, whatever it was then, it says, "Thank Evans for little Terry." Yeah. And the guy's Joe Slater. And I said to Joe, "My name is not Terry. It's Teddy. It's Edward, but Teddy, you know." And but everybody kept calling me Terry. And then when I said to Joe, so and then I got another headline. Terry's all gone. I said, "Joe, my name's not Terry. It's Teddy," you know. And he's still. So when I signed for Notts Forest and I signed Edward Curran, Fluffy said to me, he said, "What's your name?" I said, "Edward, but Teddy. You know, my name's Teddy." You know. So then he started calling me Edward. I mean, majority of the time he call you young man. Yeah. But sometimes when he called you by your name, he called you Edward. So he called me Edward for about 6 months, not on a regular basis because he would be a young man, but every now and again he'd go, Edward, if you don't get me a goal today, lad, I'll chop your balls off, lad. Are you listening? And it were little things like that. And then after about 6 months, when he did call me by my name again, he called me Tevens. And I said to him, my name's not Tevens, it's not Terry, it's Edward. But then when you sign an autograph, and I'd signed Teddy, the people would look at it and said, you're Terry. And I said, no, my name's Teddy. And they said, well, will you sign Terry? And so I finished up leaving it. But I put it in the papers. I had it everywhere. It's still people kept calling me Terry. So if I put Teddy, people, so I just put Terry now. If I'm doing a photo to do with football, I just put Terry. It just saves it all, trying to keep explaining to people. But no, my name is Edward, but Ted was short.
But it's a great insight to what you actually signed to in that contract, isn't it? There were 17 different agreements, and you read through them. And did you actually read the contract, or just think, I'm just going to sign it?
I didn't go to school, Debbie.
Did you not?
Well, I know I never missed school, but what I did, I played in all 4 years of contracts. Yeah. Would I have understood that? No, I wouldn't have. The reason we didn't put it on there to show people because when lads say to me, "What you're earning?" Just say I was earning 120 quid a week. I said 120 quid a week. Nobody would tell the truth. You said to me, "What you earning?" I said 120 quid. You're a liar.
Yeah.
You'll not get no more than 80 quid like we're getting. I said, so I'd show them. Yeah. I mean, I shouldn't have done. But what I put it on for people to see, not the wages part of it, but the contract, what you can do and what you can't do, and what you've got to do, your dress sense and everything else. I mean, it'll change a little bit nowadays with the social media thing and they would try and stop you talking to the press and things like that. So when people read the contract, if you read the contract, some of that you won't understand it anyway.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't. Did I read it? No. Did I understand it? No. But I knew I was signing for a top manager.
What's the maddest thing or the most weirdest thing that you've heard that a player's had in their contract?
Oh, Jesus, what? You can see why people are selfish, because I would think as a manager, why would I give you as a centre forward? Yes, you get 30 goals a season. Why would I give you an incentive to score goals? Yeah. Now, a lot of people say, well, what are you talking about? Hang on a bit. It's a team game, this.
Yep.
It's a team game. I'd walk around the goalkeeper. There'd be nobody in there. I could have knocked it into net. But I didn't. I'd knock it for Andy McCulloch, or I'd knock it for Ted McDoodle and let them score the goals. Yeah. Now, there were things like that. Now, yes, I can see why players get it, but then everybody's shooting from all over the place, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's not playing as a team, So I tell you what I let myself down on when I think about this. There were players when it were over 25,000 fans at the ground, they got an incentive. Okay. With every club I played at, when I went to Everton, this is a fact. When I went to Everton, the first game I played there was either 11,500 or 12,500 people. Mm-hmm. When I left Everton, of that 6 weeks long period, our last game was 27,000 against Notts Forest.
Yep.
At Sheffield Wednesday, my first game there, I think it was a cup. I know I was on the bench at Watford, but I think we played a League Cup game against Mansfield, and there were about 12,000 people there. We were averaging 33,000 people.
Yeah.
I never got an incentive out like that in my contract. And when I think about it, I must have been stupid, because every manager I played under, having the serious injuries, if I got a knock on my ankle, it'd be stiff and sore, and you'd be icing it over the weekend. But say even Cloughy would turn around and say, we need you to play on Saturday. You put 5,000 or 6,000 people on this gate. So the little things people got in their contracts, over 25,000 or 20,000 fans, scoring goals, making goals. And I never did anything like that. When I think about it, you can see why players have got agents.
Yeah.
You know, and you can see why players get upset when certain players are earning this vast amount of money. You know, and some other players are not. Because it's a team game, and you're going to get your stars. I understand that, because that's what a lot of fans will do, go and see certain players. But there's all little things in there. I mean, there were some really weird ones, but off my head, I just can't think about it. I mean, I'll speak to one or two other players and find out what were the weirdest one they had. But I didn't have any. I mean, I signed for Doncaster Rovers, and my first wage is £20 a week. I signed that for 3 years.
Yeah.
There were no pay rise in it. There were nothing. There were no the bonus, not appearance money players got. Being there for a length of time, you got a bonus. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They have bonuses like that. But in my first contract, it was £20 a week, and that was for 3 years. There weren't an incentive or an increase in my pay the following year and the following year. And I was only there for about, I think, 16, 18 months before I was transferred to Notts Forest for £75,000. So, that, you know, I didn't come through the youth system. I came up at streets at 18, 17 and a half, well, nearly 18, because I signed on my 18th birthday. Practically went straight into the team within 3 or 4 months. And I was sold, like I said, between 14, 16, 18 months for £75,000. What a tremendous profit that was for Doncaster Rovers.
Yeah.
Could you imagine them selling a player now every year for 2 or 3 million quid?
Yeah.
You know, because that would help them clubs out.
Yeah.
And Doncaster were me. What went there? Mickey always went for about 60,000. I think Brendan O'Callaghan went for 30,000 to Stoke, and I think Pete Kitchen went for 30 or 40,000. I think to either Cardiff or Fulham. I'm not quite sure, but we sold some good young lads at Doncaster. But what was the weirdest one? I didn't have one, and off my head, I've never heard anything like weird. But that's what players will get in the contracts. You know, appearance money, loyalty money, goals, for how many goals are made, little things like that. Now, when you're getting vast amount of money in wages, I can't understand why clubs would pay that type of thing out. But when you're desperate for players, I would imagine that's what happens.
I think you're right, and I think it is the desperation that some of the silly things are put into contracts, and players just gladly sign it. What I have heard that some managers have given players X amount of pounds in their wages to give back to managers, but you don't know whether they're telling you the truth or not. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So I've heard little things like that.
Last week's football forecast, because we are reaching that time now. We're almost the hours up. It flies by. We both went Forest against Brentford, and we both got it right.
Yeah.
We both went Villa at Norwich, and we both got it right. We both went Millwall to get beat by Leeds United, but, you know, these things happen, especially when there's penalties and sendings offs. And Millwall got a great win against Leeds. Yeah. Fulham and Charlton, live game on the TV. We both went Fulham, and Bowyer's boys got a tremendous draw there. And Wednesday beating Wigan, we both went that. The game that was going to decide whether it was 6-3 or 5-4 was Burnley versus Everton. And you went with your old boys, the Toffee men, and I went with the Clarets at Burnley. I think they're a really difficult team when they're at Turf Moor. It's a horrible place to go. Have you got many memories about playing at Turf Moor and the Pendle Witch?
Played there a couple of times.
Yeah.
I got a really bad injury at Forest.
Of course you did, yeah.
I got a really bad injury at Forest, at Everton. And what had happened, I played in a reserve game. They rushed me back to go and get me fit for the League Cup. I didn't make the League Cup final or semi-final, whatever it was, but I made the FA Cup semi-final against Southampton. They beat Watford in the final at Highbury, that was. Anyway, I played in that game, and as you do, everybody's pranking about. And Adrian, must have been injured because he played in that game at Adrian Heath. And I can remember Inchie getting hold of Jim Arnold's tie and getting the physio scissors and ripping cutting the tie, making it a little small tie. And when Jim went to get his tie, I'd seen his tie, right? Me and Inchie's outside doing a warm up, and Jim come onto the pitch. Who's got this? We know it's you. I said, "Don't to do with me. It was Inchie, But he was adamant. He was adamant it was me.
Yeah.
Anyway. Once we got that out of the way, in the game, I forget what the player was, but our goalkeeper came out with his feet up, and the kid broke his leg, his fibula, but the bone was sticking out, and that was horrible. That I mean, that was a bad thing. That. What was the other one? Forest. After my knee. I went on loan to Burnley. Oh no, I went on loan to Bury, but it weren't that. That was it. What had happened towards the end of that first season, I'd had a couple of little niggly things what I've never had in football.
Yeah.
I had an ankle, and then I played the reserves, come back from the reserves, and scored in my first match back against, was it Walsall or whatever, or League Cup against Walsall. But what had happened, I had a flu jab. And it was absolutely, honestly, Gabby, I thought I was dying. I couldn't eat anything, and I was rushed into hospital. I'll put a photograph on. Part of my hair had come out. All my skin had shredded. My nails had come out. All my nails had come out of my fingernails, obviously, but they grew again. All my skin, all over my body, shredded. They got the dermatologist in, and they still couldn't find out what it was. And the things I ate was soup, through the straws and things like that. And I was bad for about 3 or 4 days. They put it down to the flu jab, a reaction.
Wow.
Right, but I'm not sure if I've had a flu jab since.
Probably not.
But I think I must have put it down to a dirty needle.
Yeah, must have been.
That's what I think I put it down to. But when I got back, right. Burnley, I got back into the team at Forest. Burnley were at bottom of the league, old First Division.
Yeah.
And they tried to take me on loan. Right? And Clough said, no. I'll find that out, and I'll put it on for you to read. So, small little stadium. Always remember them being a class old First Division team. I mean, Burnley's won the old First Division.
Yeah.
I remember all these little things, and 17,000 people. I think that was a record, or that was the highest type of average type of fans they used to get, even in those days when others got big fans, big crowds. But they were the little things that I remember about Burnley that I could have signed on loan for them, because they tried to take me on loan and helped to try and help keep them in the First Division. And Clough wrote, well, I could have sent him there, and it might have done him world of good. But he might have come back and he might have knocked his confidence. But I was never that type of player. I think I might have helped Burnley to stay up. I'm not saying you would, but in my beliefs, I thought I would have helped him to stop up. Would I have gone? No, because I'd just signed for Nottingham Forest. I'd only been there about 5 or 6 months. So that was the two things that stick out in my mind at Burnley.
Well, TC, it's been another wonderful hour, an educating hour, and we were brilliantly played in, as always, by Jimmy Coburn and Dream Forever. I'm going to wish you all the best this week. We've got no fixtures this week because it is the international break. We'll be back on it next week with another group of fixtures, and it'll either be 6-4 to TC or 5-5. Gabby is fighting back, and we're going to leave you all, guys, with Dance in the Sunshine by Holly Cook. So till next week, thank you very much, and thanks for listening.
I shall listen to both those songs when it's posted up tomorrow. Have a good weekend to you and your missus and your family, and I hope it's a great result for England over the weekend.
Too true. And just to say as well, guys, we have got a Spotify playlist of all the records that we do play on our weekly podcast, The Curran View, with the idol of Hillsborough, Mr. Terry Curran. Thanks, TC.
Thank you, Gabby. Like I said, have a good weekend. We'll speak to you next week.
Cheers, pal, and you and yours as well. Thanks, Tim.
Bye.
Bye-bye.